Welcome to this episode of the Princess Experience. For this episode, we're going to be exploring the all-new Y95, and to do that, Russ is going to be taking us through the mock-up. We'll talk to the head of design at our design partners, Olzinski. We'll also be joined by Nick Smith and Laura Parry, taking us through Princess's journey in hybrid and environmental initiatives. And additionally, you can feed in your questions and your requests for information, and we can even explore topics that you suggest by writing into the Experience series as well. So we're really excited about the Y95. It's the flagship of our Y class. And to kick things off, we're going to explore the mock-up with Ross.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Kieran. Here we are on the mock-up of the Y95. Now, the Y95 is one of our platform boats. So it shares in a similar way that the S78 and the Y78 share the same platform. The X95 and the Y95 have the same hull, the same engineering, but have slightly different decks. And we're going to go through that in a bit more detail, and I'll show you what the differences and similarities. Obviously, the main similarity is we're on a 95-foot boat, so we have this huge cockpit. Great depth, so from where you are, which is at the back of the rest, all the way to the doors is a great amount of space. We can have a bar or survey in this area. Stairs on the opposite side to the X95, as you can see, so they go up to the flybridge. Big wide side decks going up each side, and then obviously this decent seating area here on the back. Table, again, as it's a 95-foot boat, we can do multiple things here to suit a client's needs. So you've got a great big seating area, either side of those staircases up from the bathing platform. Bathing platform has the transformer, so it doesn't go up and down, but the transformer is used as a tender lift and also a staircase into the sea. Really nice feature. Huge overhang, so you got lots of protection from the sun or even from the rain. You don't have to go in if the weather suddenly turns. And then you've got this great aft deck. Plenty of seating. You've got 2 occasional chairs that go there, more if you need it. Storage lockers, as I said, a big servery, and then you go into this really good sized saloon. The pillars indicate where the stainless steel doors are. So you've got 3 sliding sections or 2 sliding sections to really open up that space, and then you come into the saloon. Fairly traditional, I think. It's a nice layout. Good utilisation of design features, similar to what we did on the 85, but room here for many people to sit down. You can customise this to a degree, and they're on the option forms, and that you can go through with your dealer should you want to. On the opposite side is a pop-up TV behind the shorter seating area, 65-inch, and then of course big windows on either side of the saloon. Really good height, plenty of headroom height as well as this indentation. This actually indicates where we'll probably have a lighting feature all the way around the saloon. And then stepping into the dining room. Good table. Outboard of that behind me would be a big solid glass window, floor to ceiling. This can also be a sliding door should you want to, or you can, if you wanted the full effect of that window, it would be glass. On the opposite side, a continuation of the saloon window, because we've got the wet bar area, so bottles and glasses, ice maker in here, also your options for putting glasses and other storage into there. On either side we've got 2 doors that lead forward. That's where this boat really changes from the X. Now on the X, this can be a country kitchen, so it's fully opened, and the staircase for the lower accommodation goes down from the saloon. On this boat it's behind this bulkhead. Now on the finished article, you won't have a big piece of plywood, obviously. It could be a nice featured piece of art. In the past, on some of the M classes, we did backlit onyx. It really can be whatever we can work with the designers in our Mayfair studio and the owner's choice. So, lobby on that side, we're going to go through the galley first. So, pocket door, so it can be closed so the people in the galley can get on with their work without interrupting the owners. And then you've got a pop-out door from the side deck. So, crew can come back and forth, get on with their job again without interfering what's going on inside. Good servery, optional wine cooler under here, dishwasher, plenty of workspace. You can put coffee machines and all sorts up here. Behind me are the space for the big Sub-Zeros. So refrigeration and freezer space underneath, and then into a good sized galley. Overhead lockerage, big window to let that natural light in for the chefs, ovens, drawers underneath, microwave ovens, grills, everything you need. going forward into a lobby area. Inside here is a tech space, so for your AV, navigation, all the electronics can be stored underneath there. A big storage locker on the forward end. Stepping through into the lobby area, this is one of the fundamental differences between the X and the Y. We have the raised pilot house access, and that's the difference between the X and the Y. We have the bridge isn't on the fly bridge, although we have a steering position up there, and it's not on this main deck, it's sort of floated in between, which is quite a popular design and makes the boat look very aggressive. You have the staircase down to the guest accommodation. You have the side entrance for the guests, so crew access through the galley, guests come in this way, and then they can then go aft into the saloon if you're moored side to rather than stern to. And then you move forward into this area. So again, storage locker, staircase, day head. Now, you have to use your imagination a little bit here, but the day head will have a big window, be slightly frosted to give you a bit of privacy. Won't be in a 1700s building, but it will be a wonderful area with stone countertops, etc., etc. Moving into the master cabin. Now, the side decks finish where those doors are. So you have one staircase comes up over onto the foredeck, and the other one will terminate completely. And then it gives us the opportunity to have a full beam master cabin. Lovely seating area here with a natural light coming in through this skylight above us, and those big windows letting in, again, guests being able to see out as well as being able to see let light into the boat. Same on the other side. Almost a full beam master ensuite, which is a rarity. So we have a shower store on the outboard side, WC on the inboard, and then his and hers sinks. Decent bulkhead, which gives us the opportunity to put a 65-inch TV on there, and then a walk-in wardrobe. That will have full height hanging drawers, a safe, all that type of thing. And then a vanity unit, a fridge unit will be fitted under here. Again, one of those skylights above us, which lets the light into the cabin, and then big window. And you would have noticed there's no steps in this boat. So all the way from the aft deck, all the way through to the ensuite, no steps up and down, which makes life a lot easier for moving around the boat, and is a real bonus.
So as Environmental Compliance Manager, I visit all the sites and carry out environmental inspections to ensure that the sites stay legally compliant, but also to look at opportunities for making change happen. And as part of that, we're working in conjunction to try and enable people to have a better understanding on sustainability and what to do to improve the environment where we work. Part of my role is to enable the organisation to look at ways to avoid producing so much waste in the manufacturing processes. So every site we're trying to engage with the employees to look at better ways to look at the resources that are coming in and then understand how they can better use the materials. Yeah, our facilities department have been fantastic with driving forward change in looking at ways to enable us to save on energy. Energy management is massive for the organisation. Obviously we consume a lot, and therefore every year we need to look at ways to reduce our carbon. They have in 2018 enabled workshops to have better lighting through LEDs. The payback's been fantastic on that, and huge savings in terms of environmental impact. So there's a lot of talk at the moment about the climate emergency and trying to drive forward change to become carbon neutral by 2030. Our organisation, like many's, need to obviously look at the reduction of our own carbon impact, and therefore we've set a challenging target of a reduction of 25% over the next couple of years. So part of our energy management campaign is to look at technology, and we've been carrying out feasibility studies into photovoltaics as well as biomass boilers. This is a positive step forward for the organisation, looking to really focus on energy reduction but also the environmental impact of using resources. I think for me, being in this role enables me to drive forward change in terms of the way the organisation's going to become a greener organisation, to enable initiatives which inspire people to think more sustainably, and to really energise and motivate people to do the right thing.
So we go from Laura to Laura here in the studio. Laura Parry, our Environmental and Compliance Manager. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about your role here at Princess. You know, you've joined the company to look at how we have a better way forward, a better way in terms of our manufacturing, the impact on the environment. Where do you choose to start?
It's a very good question, and I think you have to look at the bigger picture. So where do we want to get to and how are we going to get there? So for us, it's about trying to get our structure correct in the way that we operate. And a massive element of that is waste management. So for us, we generate large volumes of waste across a number of different types. And working with our waste contractor, we try to drive change in terms of minds and attitudes, thinking about the waste hierarchy. So how do we avoid generating waste in the first place? If we can't avoid it, can we reuse it, recycle, and then ultimately send it either to energy recovery or disposal? So working with employees at all the sites is about trying to educate them in terms of how to use our materials more successfully and efficiently.
Yeah, and there's actually, it's something that seems to have taken hold. It's presumably not just for the employees at Princess, but employees all across the UK. And with that, we've made some commitments at Princess. We said that we're going to try to reduce our carbon emissions from our manufacturing footprint. How do we go about doing something like that?
So I think for us it's about looking at all the elements of our process, trying to look at the material life cycle assessment, so from start to finish, and the materials coming in, where do we get them from? We work closely with our procurement department to look at greening the supply chain and ultimately trying to work with people in partnership to make that change happen. I think it's extremely important to consider all elements, so where the materials come from all the way through the process of obviously coming out with a premium yacht.
It's an exciting time because I think all eyes are on our impact as manufacturers, as users of products and purchasers of products. How much better can we be at what we're doing today, and how much can we reduce our impact on the world around us?
I think part of my role is as an educator and changing hearts and minds in terms of doing the right thing, taking responsibility and engaging with people. So we have fantastic board, site directors and employees here at Princess Yachts. And the important point is that actually they are very supportive in the sustainability journey, trying to undertake the right thing and getting everybody involved. I think it's key to enabling the strength of the organisation and moving into a sustainable world.
Yeah, and some of the really simple, low-hanging fruit stuff that you've done at Princess. Can you talk to viewers a little bit about that? Some of the quick changes that you've been able to make.
So I brought along our reusable face mask. And I think in this current climate, obviously we're dealing with COVID at the moment, and we found that we were using a huge amount of disposable face masks, and we needed to look at an alternative. So something that would be long lasting and help us promote our organisation, but also look at the part of the waste hierarchy, which is reuse. And hopefully it will be a good step forward in terms of looking at our waste and trying to reduce it.
Laura, thank you very much. You're going to stick around for the rest of the episode. And that was Laura Parry, our Environmental and Compliance Manager here at Princess. And now we're going to join Russ once more aboard the Y95.
Okay, so this is the flybridge of the Y95. Quite different to the X, as you can see behind me. And it's worth pointing out at this stage how far our carpenters in the mock-up department go. I mean, it's not just making the outline of the boat so we can fill the space. They even go to the detail of design, customising the design chairs. We've got the stainless steel, trying to get the right feel, the right style, the right textures, so we can really get an idea what the boat's going to be like. And as you can see, aft deck, there's plenty of room here. And you've got 2 occasional chairs. This is our interpretation. This can be customised to a degree. The furniture behind me is modular, so it can move slightly. These can be sections, so they can be made into a 2-seater or a 3-seater. And they're not GRP. These are beautifully designed individual bits that we buy in, trying to give you that outside, inside style of furniture, rather than just a bit of fiberglass that was slightly yesterday. Big coffee table for entertaining, and I'm going to walk around the back just to highlight the space we've got on board the boat, but also the design effort that's gone into creating the hardtop. Similar to what we've done on the Y72, the Y78, the Y85, the Y95 will continue that theme of the Pininfarina designed hardtops. So they're nice sculpted into it rather than just a slab of fiberglass, and that holds up a truly huge hardtop section that gives you plenty of shade. Obviously there'll be an opening section in here should you want it, but if not, you are really protected from the elements underneath here. So stepping forward, under that massive hardtop, we have the entertaining area in terms of wet bar, which has your twin barbecue, sink, refrigeration, that type of thing. Big pop-up TV behind that counter with storage underneath. Outside of the bar, you can have two chairs here, or stools, so you can be entertained. And then behind that, really good sized dining room table. Not really a diner, I suppose, it's more the flybridge table where you can have your parties, you can have your main dining area. And then one of the key features of the Y95 is this pop-out door. So it's on a pantograph door that moves backwards and gives you nice, easy access up onto your foredeck. Quite unique. I think it's one of the only one in its class to have that. And it just makes it more of a family boat. You've got people who are entertaining on the back, some people sitting down at the dining table, you've got the aft deck, and a very usable foredeck. Coming forward, you have your helm. There obviously will be helm chairs here, not built on this one yet, but it's great visibility. Again, you can look around the side. The crew can look over the side, bring the boat in very easily. Good instrumentation will obviously be on here. On the opposite side, guests have the opportunity to enjoy the view and where you're going, enjoying the atmosphere of driving the boat and being on board the boat. And then you have a nice staircase down into the raised pilot house bridge, which is where we're going to go and have a look at now. Okay, in we come to the raised pilot house of the Y95, and it really is quite an impressive bridge. Full glass integrated screens here, so that is where the ship's controls are. Everything from your air conditioning to your lighting to your fuel transfer, everything's controlled from there, as well as obviously your navigation. Good seating area for the guests behind us, so often crew come here as well, but guests can take part in what's happening. Easy access to the flybridge, so that's where I've just come down those steps from, and then there will be a staircase off down here to that lower lobby. Good visibility forward, nice raked windscreens which give us that sporty feel on the outside. Right forward to the foredeck, which is where we should go and have a look at next. So the foredeck of the Y95, as we said before, there's a pantograph door on this side of the flybridge, and that exits out onto this side deck. It gets you give easy access to these large sun pads. Either side of those sun pads is the skylights down into the master cabin that we saw earlier. So one here and one there. Good amount of space in front of those. There's nice teak covered area in front of that, and then you've got a lovely big seating area down here in the cockpit well, or the foredeck well, as it were. Plenty of room for the family to sit down and enjoy those views that you can only get on a foredeck. It's quite often the nicest place to be when you're in a marina. When you're stern to, it's nice and private. Or on your anchor, you're sat there above the waves. It really is an interesting place and really lovely place to sit. Good sized well here again, so you can talk, you can have coffee tables, you can really enjoy the space. And of course, we can put the carbon fibre poles up here later on and give you that nice sunshade should you want to. So it really is quite a unique boat, and I hope you've enjoyed your tour of our mock-up. Again, not the real thing, the mock-up of the Y95.
So thank you very much to Russ. And earlier we spoke with Laura about our environmental initiatives, and so we're now joined in the studio by our Head of Product Planning, Nick Smith. Nick, thank you.
Hi, Kieran.
So Nick, in our industry, there's no legislation that's forcing our hand to develop a better boat right now. In a way, that sort of titillates us, doesn't it? I mean, I know that you get a lot of enjoyment from it. I get a lot of enjoyment from thinking about what we can do and be the first to market with. Tell us a little bit about what you make of it as Head of Product Planning at Princess.
Well, it's quite unique and exciting, to be honest, Kieran. The reality is there isn't the legislation you might expect, like you would see in other industries around us. So we find ourselves in a unique position that we're led by the customer, that we're able to really listen to what they have to say and try to deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean, a great example is grey water tanks on the boats. But we heard feedback from customers, I can't be seen to be putting soapy water over the side of my boat.
Yeah.
Outright. And that really sparked something at Princess. It made people think about, well, what can we do to allow these customers to be seen to be as responsible as they can with their yachting experience, to continue to enjoy that without necessarily doing some of the less responsible things that we see compared to some of our competitors. Yeah. So that's really driven us as a company to try to think about what we can do to support that idea.
I mean, it really tends to come in from customer demand, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
They want this, and it's a validation that they've maybe done the right thing. And as I said, it's sometimes it's even the little things. It's how can I reduce the amount of fuel that I'm using? How can I make sure that my air conditioning systems are more thermally efficient? You know, what else can I do? And those conversations start a whole journey that takes place. Let's talk a little bit about that journey. So for you, what do you do? What's the first place that you want to start exploring how, you know, those improvements?
Well, ultimately, as a business, we're very real world. We don't want to make something that's irrelevant to our customer base. We only want to improve the experience for them and really try to deliver on their unmet needs and demands. So with things like the hybrid project that we're working on, it wasn't about just ticking a green and sustainability box. It was about genuinely improving the customer use case. Yeah. So for example, the battery packs that it offers you allows your overnight hotel services to run, such as your aircon and even your stabilisation. Overnight there's traditionally power hungry items, so you don't have to run a generator. So if you are at anchor, you can be in silence. You can enjoy that experience without the thrum of a generator overnight. So yeah, it's about trying to react to the customer demands, and also trying to put something together, a package that's desirable, exciting, and not necessarily something that they've immediately thought about.
Okay, Nick, the Y95, if a client today wants a hybrid system on their Y95, let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, presently it's planned for the X95, but we could fit it to the Y95 as well, being a platform boat. So yes, creating a hybrid Y95 would be quite an interesting opportunity. Yeah. We find that or as we developed it, we found that the big benefits were things like the silent running. We're all very excited about the ability to be able to leave the marina in silence in the morning. And also at the end of the day, you know, if you were in a fantastic setting and the sun's setting and you're enjoying a glass of something with loved ones, imagine doing that in absolute silence as you just finish your run for the day. Yeah. It's quite compelling. Yeah,
but you've also got additional power. You know, the system will add another 536 horsepower to the 1900 MANs.
That's right. 400 kilowatts is added to the 1900 horsepower per engine MAN. So yes, it's got quite a significant power boost.
Yeah. And you just said as the sun's going down, but whilst the sun's still up, there are also other benefits, aren't there? We're looking at a solar array as well. Do you want to go into some details about that?
Well, that's quite interesting. I feel that's sort of the cherry on the top of the system. When we initially discussed adding solar panels, it didn't seem that relevant. We ran the calculations, and even in ideal conditions, it would take perhaps 4 days to fully charge. But then when we thought about it and we went back to that initial discussion we had, how do the customers actually use their boats? Not everyone's living on it all of the time. So for someone to go away for a few days and come back, they would have got a free off-grid recharge of their battery system. So then it starts to have some relevance, so they can then make more use of the system as well.
Great. Nick, on that note, thank you very much for joining us. You're going to stick around and we're going to be speaking to you a little bit more in the end of this, towards the end of this episode. That was Nick Smith, who's our head of product planning. And now we're here in the Princess Lab, where I am joined by Jonathan Cantrell of Olszynski. Jonathan, welcome.
Hi, Kieran. Thanks for having me.
And Jonathan, for the benefit of our viewers, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and a little bit about Olszynski over there in the Isle of Wight?
Sure. My name's Jonathan Cantrell, and I'm head of design here at Olszynski on the Isle of Wight. And we've been working in partnership with Princess for about 44 years now.
Great. And you know, to a lot of boaters out there all across the world, you know, an Olszynski hull means something. It has, you know, tremendous heritage. But now we've also got the addition of Pininfarina into the mix. So we have this triangle of design, which is Olszynski, Pininfarina, and the Princess Design Studio. Can you tell us a little bit about how all three parties work together?
Fundamentally, Olszynski is set up as a naval architecture office, so we are responsible for all naval architectural side, be it the whole form development structures, weight, estimate performance, etc. And then on the side of that, obviously, there's the design styling side of things, which I'm heading up or in charge of. And then Pininfarina come in as obviously a well-renowned styling house. They need a little introduction. So to have them coming to the process, it's given us a different perspective, especially as the majority of their input is obviously not from the nautical world. They come from the automotive world. So it's allowed us to pull on the strength of each company to be able to create unique and strong designs.
You're very right, and one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was what's getting you excited at the moment in terms of the future of?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, there's always been, as the boats have gone on, the boats have got bigger, and I'm not just talking about length, but in terms of the volume that we're trying to eke out of. Princess is renowned for making every square millimetre count, and it's definitely been the case as we've developed these boats over the last 14 years. We're making sure that every part of the boat is maximised. If we take the Y95, for example, if you look at what that is replacing, the 30 metre, for the same amount of length, the interior volume is not comparable. I mean, in terms of what we're actually being able to put onto that Y95, we're really pushing the envelopes and what we can do in hull development to maximise the interior volume below deck. But as well up deck, we're doing a lot of work on the social areas of the boats. I mean, that's a very key aspect to how these boats are used, and we want to maximise the livable spaces on board the vessel. And the Y95 really kind of epitomises that. When you look at the foredeck arrangement, for example, over the original 30 metre, you have the flexibility to walk from the flybridge all the way down to the coach room. So you can really open up the areas of the boat, and you're constantly maximising the spaces.
Absolutely, and I think with the Y95 particularly, the other thing which is so striking about it is just the aesthetic of it alone. It really truly looks like a typical Princess, and it's quite a departure from the X95, irrespective of its common platform. How did you approach designing the Y95 in terms of the variation over the X95?
Obviously, as you've touched on there's a lot of carryover from the X95, so the whole form is obviously the same, and the lower accommodation is carryover as well. But the main deck layout is obviously, because we don't have the same deck as the X95 third deck with the wheelhouse. We have a raised pilot house. It opens up the opportunity to have a much sleeker, sharper looking profile to the boat, which is a real joy as a designer. I mean, Princess sort of set the brief. They wanted something that was, more on the side of sportiness than elegant, if you like. But I think we've kind of struck the balance quite well. It still holds its very elegant form, but at the same time, it's got that kind of aggression and sportiness that you would want from this style of boat.
That's great. Jonathan, thank you very much for your time and for joining us on this episode. It's a pleasure to talk to you. We wish you all the best down there in the Isle of Wight, and hopefully we get to talk to you again soon on another episode of the Princess Experience. So thanks once again. All the best. We're joined in the studio now by Nick Smith and Laura Parry, and guys, we're just going to talk a little bit about who we are a decade from today. There's a tendency for many businesses across different industries to somewhat duck and sort of hide from the reality. The reality is that we are all, as manufacturers, putting processes in which, to some degree, have an impact on the world around us. I don't think that we're at a point of being able to be a truly clean industry. Boating is probably going to be boating for some time, but some of the ways that excite you about how we can be better.
I think for me it's about being innovative and looking at interesting ways that we can develop our product. And I think there's a lot of energy within our organisation, from boards all the way through to the employees that are actually making the products. And with that ability and motivation, it's quite inspiring to see people's thinking and developing outside the box.
We're also lucky that we have quite an inspirational product. It's quite an emotional thing, and some quite influential customers. So working with them and our suppliers, we're able to generate a bit of impact to say, we need this, can you help us to work through on that?
Yeah.
And also with the unique use case with the yachts, we're seeing that we're going to have to drive some innovation with our respective suppliers.
And talking about everyone in the organisation, there's over 3,000 of us here at Princess, being able to have an impact. You've got a great example of this that I think you've brought along, Nick.
Well, it's just happens
show
to
and
have
tell.
it here. Yeah, this is a great example. So everyone's having an impact in the company at the moment. And one of our site administrators came to us and suggested or pointed out how much we were spending on disposable cups. So we felt challenged to go away based on the numbers to say, well, actually, should we issue every single employee with a water bottle?
Yes.
But that posed its own challenges. I mean, we work in quite a dusty environment at times, so we have to have a suitably robust dust cap. But also with the pandemic that's panned out, and also just the spread of germs, we had to define and specify a bottle in the right way that could enable it to be filled without necessarily getting anywhere near the mouthpiece. So we've had to source and order the right type of bottles.
Yeah.
So it's that level of thought, that level of care, and the level of cost saving and benefit to the business and the environment around us.
And the initiative, it was a talented employee by the name of Zoe Bunce who came up with the whole idea.
That's right, yes. And all the cost savings around it.
Yeah, and worked out what the impact on the environment as well as the financial impact on the company was for not using a reusable vessel. Laura, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing together with our apprentice program here at Princess.
So we understand it's important to invest in our next generation of Princess Yacht employees, and through the development and work that we've been doing with the Learning and Development department, we're engaging with our apprentices from first year up to fourth year. What's key is actually trying to embed sustainability into teaching and learning and engaging with them at that very early stage to help them understand what Princess Yachts are driving forward in terms of the desire for change, but also developing their ability to be able to take action themselves.
Yeah. Nick, we don't have the answers. We definitely don't. And we're not here to say, Princess has worked it out and we've got it all sorted. Far from it. But we are really engaged around it, aren't we?
Yeah, with the changes and push for carbon neutrality we see in other industries, we recognise that we need to step up to make sure that we safeguard the future for our customers so they can continue to enjoy yachting, hopefully in the way that they're enjoying it now. I mean, we know there'll be some changes around some areas, but we're trying to safeguard not only our business, but also their enjoyment.
Yeah.
And so, for example, we're writing a number of reports at the moment to really drill down and look at what our alternatives are and how we could implement those in our range and how the range would need to adapt and evolve in order to make that possible.
Yeah.
So it's a real hot topic for us within Princess at the moment.
Yeah. And, there's a nice thing about Princess and all of us at Princess seem to have this, slight nuanced character trait, which is we don't really take ourselves, or we try not to take ourselves too seriously, but we take our impact on the world around us extremely seriously. And so seeing how that can sort of morph into the way in which we've been for, over 50 years as a manufacturer is going to be the most exciting thing. If both of you, if you could each answer this question, if many, many years from today you were to look back on your time at Princess and were able to have left a mark as fanciful as it could be, what would it be, Laura?
I think for me it would be looking at our sites and developing them to make them more conscious about biodiversity and conservation. It would be sourcing our food for our catering outlets locally, choosing options for fair trade. It would be developing our clothing, our products, so that would also incorporate fair trade or ethical sourcing. And I would absolutely love to see more recycled products within the brand of Princess Yachts, something that is innovative and stands out and is a talking point.
Yeah. Nick?
I'd like us to continue to be a leader in the industry, to really implement the newest and exciting things, but in an appropriate way. Something that's not going to put off an existing customer, but it's going to enhance their enjoyment if they do delve into that technology and use it. It's all about real world application and making sure that we improve that experience whilst also fulfilling some of the other challenges we have going on at the moment.
That's great. Nick, Laura, thank you very much for being on this episode. It's goodbye for this episode, and we'll see you in the next instalment of the Princess Experience. Bye.